Hey y'all, we are back with another dense update. This update is sponsored by Biomax Peptides and Herd Athletics. Here we go. Sydney and Brooke Wells are on vacation in Hawaii for their mom's wedding, and Sydney posted this to her Instagram. Looks like she had a little bit of a run-in with a towel rack. Now the towel rack is fine. However, Sydney got a little bit of a dent and bruise on her forehead the day before her mom's wedding. Sydney is in fact okay. I did see that she posted she went surfing. She actually did really good. That is the CrossFit philosophy. Regularly learn and play new sports. Tier Socal Wodapalooza has started releasing the workouts for their upcoming event on their Instagram page. The first workout released was another max lift workout. One athlete from the team doing a max clean, another athlete doing a max snatch. Then athletes will also be doing a head-to-head Isabel, head-to-head Grace, which I think is pretty cool. They also released a new implement, an erg shot.
Oh, he's on.
And then Tier also bringing back the open water swim. You can expect to see more of the workouts trickling out over the next couple of weeks leading up to the event. You can still purchase tickets. All the information, the workouts, you can find on Tier Wodapalooza SoCal's Instagram page. Herd Athletics has announced the Herdfest. This is going on in New Jersey towards the end of November. Registration is open for the RX, Intermediate, Novice, and Masters divisions. The standards have also been released to their Instagram page. The elite individuals will be an invite-only basis, and the Sevan podcast will be live streaming that event. Also released this week are the Rogue Qualifier workouts. There are 3 in total. The Rogue Qualifier started Friday. It will end on Sunday. The leaderboard is already up on Rogue's website. I noticed on the men's side, Travis Mayer, Caleb Clements, Bailey Martin. That was the gentleman who suffered the cardiac event at the Torian Pro earlier this year. And then on the female side, Kyra Milligan, Carissa Stapp, and Matilda Garns, just to name a few. Taylor, Bryson, and JR sat down on Shut Up and Scribble to talk about the Rogue Qualifier workouts, the order that they think that athletes should do these workouts in or will do these workouts in.
Do you think that wall walks favor shorter athletes? Like, do you think a wall complex like this would favor an athlete like Colton over Jason with the knowledge that it's potentially a 60-inch forward tape line and a 10-inch backward one? Meaning there's a bit.
If they're going to go like hands on the line to hands on the line, and that's how you start and finish, I still think it's going to end up being who's the best presser. Yeah.
You can check out that full episode on this YouTube channel. Talking Elite Fitness put out a new podcast of the CrossFit Games and World Fitness Project, whether they should coexist and or cooperate with each other. They talk about the last tour stop. They acknowledge the Austin Hatfield GHD incident. However, instead of just taking accountability and moving on from that and saying what Jason Ainsley already said, which is essentially it falls on the event team and the equipment team to make sure that that GHD machine is checked prior to the start of that heat. Tommy wants to point out the fact that in the previous heat, there was an athlete who they believe didn't set the GHD properly.
Athletes were supposed to set their GHDs and all were responsible for setting their GHDs themselves. And then, there's checks and balances that go with that. So I guess an athlete before had, and one of the keys, right, is, the pin.
Which there's no way to know because there's no way to check that on the live stream. Believe me, I've gone back to check. And it just, to me, seems like a cop-out. Just leave it at the fact that it falls on the event team, and that's it. Why blame other athletes in previous heats? And then they completely gloss over the many bike malfunctions. I don't even know why I watch. It's the same old tired thing. Tommy clearly trying to diminish the games. And that season, he made a comment about Roman finishing on the podium at WFP, and this being the first time in a couple of years that he's finished on a major event podium. So just completely not acknowledging the fact that he won Wadland Fest, a semifinal event qualifying him to the CrossFit Games. I don't know why I'm surprised by this, honestly. I mean, he's on WFP's payroll, and he does a pretty good job on his platform of trying to diminish the CrossFit Games in that season in the eyes of his followers. Come on, Tommy. If you're going to be on the broadcasting team, you should probably pay attention to the major events that your athletes competing in the WFP are doing. You know, Taylor had a pretty controversial hot take, and I 100% agree with him.
You're a challenger trying to earn a pro card, and you don't even know what the fuck that means. What is a pro card? What do you get for having a pro card? What's the contractual obligation? What's the fucking dollar amount that you make? Why is it so valuable? Why the fuck would I sacrifice my opening game season for a fucking stupid Pokemon card I don't know anything about? I'm going to say it here, and I'll say it again, probably in 100 different ways over the next few months, but I was right all along about the World Fitness Project. I'm going to be telling all of you that I told you so. It's a horrible business venture. It's not going to succeed. The people who are running it are fucking crooks and terrible people. All they've wanted to do from the start is to take over the CrossFit Games. They haven't been honest with anyone about it, but amongst themselves, they are.
Rich Froning on another podcast this week, this time with Pedro of Coffee Pods and Wads. The main takeaway I took was that Rich is making a very clear stance on what he expects from the new ownership of CrossFit and what his intentions will be once the new ownership changes hands. Pedro asks some really great questions, some follow-up questions to the previous podcast that Rich did with Sevan. For instance, the estranged business relationship between him and Malik.
I think Malik is a good person. I've said that. I like him as a person. I don't know if I like some of his ideas as a business. And part of it too is coming from podcasts where there's some misinterpretation and whatever, but
you didn't like being called the leg of an elephant.
No, I didn't like being called an elephant. Depends on which leg, I guess. I don't like the fact of like, hey, CrossFit doesn't work. You know, we got to do these long workouts. Like if we're really getting down to what the methodology is and you don't even believe in the methodology, then why do you want this thing?
He also asks about his current relationship with Facundo, who is still the director of international for Mayhem.
Does Facundo still work for Mayhem?
He is currently on our payroll. I've not talked to Facundo. I had two run-ins with him at the games. Very short, both times with Malik. That's the only time I've talked to him in the last little bit, which is kind of odd because I would call Facundo a very good friend.
He also asks if someone does come in, buys CrossFit, and appoints a new CEO, who Rich thinks that person should be.
Archetype or an avatar of a person who could be installed as CEO that you'd be like, okay, well, that would be interesting. I'd be willing to have an 8-hour meeting about that.
It'd have to be somebody here.
If Dave were to be appointed CEO, what does Rich think about that?
If it's someone like, say, Dave or, I don't know, Nicole or someone who's been around and has seen it and done it, would you then be like, all right, I'll have a talk about it and see what happens? Or is it like more cut and dry than that for you?
Cut and dry.
Okay.
I would say, all right, what about the last 8 years, 15 years that you've never talked to me or asked me about anything whatsoever or any of that? That's what I would say.
I love that the time doubled in the response.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm thinking, I guess, post Greg, when he actually probably could have done something, because previous to Greg, he probably couldn't have done anything.
I'm not really sure where that leaves everything, but it's very clear that Rich expects a few things. Number one, he wants to be in an advisory position. He wants to have a seat at the table and have his voice heard. And number two, if there's going to be a CEO appointed, he believes it should be somebody within Mayhem, but he doesn't get into who that person could be. He just jokes around about it not being Angelo DiCicco. It seems like he feels like he is finally being backed into a corner where he's got to make a decision, and this one feels like an ultimatum. Now, Kill Taylor this week is going to be on Sunday instead of Saturday. The workout will be released 24 hours in advance on that same Shut Up and Scribble show with JR, Bryson, and Taylor. Taylor gave us a little bit of a hint as to what the workout might be.
I'll give you this hint, Tristan. It's 4 movements, not 2. It's a chipper, and it's not an up and back chipper, so it's just a one-time through, and it's a descending rep, and it's either lunging or squatting, and there's definitely chest to bars in it.
So be on the lookout for that Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Kill Taylor, $1,000 for the prize money, and the most unfiltered commentary in the CrossFit space. Also, on Sunday evening, I will be live on this channel with the Glintons for our bi-weekly slumber party, where we talk about just about anything and everything. If there is any new tea, I will update you then. Oh, and one final thing. There was a show the other day I reluctantly watched. They had John Woolley on, and he surprised me. His takes on the CrossFit Games and the legacy that it has, and the reason that these athletes are always going to want to do the CrossFit Games, were spot on. And I cannot believe I am admitting to this.
It's legacy. If I were an 18-year-old starting this sport and wanting to go, I want to go where the champions have been. If I play basketball, I want to go where Michael Jordan has been, right? Like,
I think one of them said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. So I'm not going to comment on anything that Mesa said because I literally have nothing nice to say. I'm just going to leave you with this clip as to Sevan's thoughts on that show.
Everything she says is like just absolutely surface level and base. I don't know if she's protecting feelings or she's never been around smart people or if she's unconscious. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't have a diagnosis for her.
What he said.
That dense bitch,